Hi Lee,
Hey,
how are you?
good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's gonna be a busy day, but I'm okay. I'm good. I had a couple of deadlines due with O'Reilly, and finally hit them. I hit the deadline, so that feels good. Um, it always gets a bit stressful trying to get words on paper quickly. Nice. All right. Well, I went ahead and started the recording. Let's go ahead and talk. There's a couple other people who are in the dock right now, but who aren't on the call. I'm assuming they'll join shortly. So speaking of the document, we have a new meeting minutes doc. Meeting minutes. There's a link to it in the chat. Drew, we were just saying we've got a new meeting minutes doc, which you might have access, or you have access to. I put a link to it. Nice. Well, in here, a few topics. One is we can start on, because Mukul is on, and so is Tanuj, who's been working on this. A little while ago, we were discussing the notion of consolidating repositories. So moving the Layer5 NG code into the Layer5 repo, which had been kind of the more or less like the plan all along, that the Layer5 NG repo is kind of a temporary holding space for us to become familiar with Gatsby and try things out. And it looks like we've got a theme, we're able to build it, we're customizing it. And so I figured we'd move that back over to the Layer5 repo. So it's in the Layer5 repository now, thanks to Nude. And there is there's two Netlify sites set up, one to build the current Layer5 site, and another one to build the next gen Layer5 site. Of what you see inside the Layer5 repo, it's all of it is the current site except this folder, which is the next site. And so, Mukul, we were just chatting a little bit about building the Layer5 NG site, and so so right now, you were talking about the need for a GitHub action to help build this NG site.
yeah. GitHub Actions work for the whole repo. Then we have to add that GitHub action for the layer 5. I was asking for the access token to be added as a secret. That secret will be used to push the build code. The action you mentioned, I think will be working fine for building the site now we have.
Nice, good, okay, yep.
So then I will open the new PR for this. I will open the new PR for the action for this.
Nice, that makes sense. Do you know? Were we successfully building the new site from that workflow?
No, because I I was not able to test it from Nectos you sent in the group, but it should work fine as far as I think, because there's not so much any complex thing there.
Sure.
It builds the site in the site folder. The action is in the site folder, and we have to add a GS access token. The same name should be mentioned there. Then the action will be added, then it should work fine. Then we can have a look at the logs and then we can check it's working fine or not.
Oh,
I hope it should work fine.
okay. So then, Tanuj, of the Netlify site that's set up for Layer 5 NG, um, is that pointing to the site folder underneath the Layer 5 NG folder?
This one is actually the one for the layer 5 ng inside the layer 5.
Nice. Okay. And so
The,
that's good. Of how it's configured, do you know? Does it point to a site folder underneath the Layer 5 NG folder?
for the layer 5, uh, this doesn't contain a site folder because we remove the theme docs.
Oh yeah, say that last part again. You said it doesn't have a site folder. We can use the.
Uh, I removed the site folder because that was previously there because we had separate documentation for the Appian theme. So I removed that part and pulled everything out of the site folder.
Oh, okay, got it. So you're saying, hey, look, when the way that the new Netlify site is configured is that it's going to be pointing to this repository or this directory right here, expecting to find the whole site, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And so I think okay, and then of what Mukul is saying. So Mukul, if as you
Yeah,
move that,
I want to know where the source of the site is, because this action should be run in the source folder, and there we had a packet.json file. This action uses that packet.json, and then it will run. Then it will do everything automatically. You have nothing to do afterwards. Only thing is that we have to create this action and then run into that folder, that where the source is.
okay,
And it automatically fetches, it automatically checkouts the repo using that checkout action I used.
cool.
And then and then it used that access token to authenticate, to push the build on the master. And then you have to enable the settings that for the GitHub pages, and it will automatically deploy to GitHub pages. And there are a lot of configurations options also. We can, if we want to change the master to another branch, like gh pages branch or something else, then we can change, and a lot of things else can be configured.
Okay, that's very helpful to have
Yeah,
those different configurations. So I guess that
yeah.
brings us back to Netlify of the way in which we have this configured. Tanuj, do you remember what directory it's looking for the site in, or where it's deploying the site? I guess yeah, that's maybe this is a bad question, Tanuj. So just maybe to refresh my memory, um, the Netlify, we're just looking for it to do site previews. So long as it retrieves from the correct source location, it's going to build the site, deploy it into a space that Netlify runs, and beyond that, we don't care so much about I guess anything beyond that, right?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Which is good. So that means that probably the Netlify builds, have they been working at all, Tanush?
yeah. It's working.
Are they? Nice.
Yeah,
Like on maybe if we took a quick look at like a recent pull request or something that might, I guess I just hadn't
this
looked.
will this will not work because the changes are not happening in that directory, so it is not building a site. This is
Oh,
for the layer ng, layer 5.
cool. Where's the control for that? Is that done in Netlify?
It automatically detects if some fake. If files are not changed, it doesn't build the site.
Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. All right. Then sounds like we'll probably be okay. We might be okay with the default settings for the GitHub action. I guess we'll see. I guess like if we were to say, hey, where would we want for the site to be built and deployed? So right now, we're going to be heavily relying on Netlify for what those previews look like. We're going to be building locally and looking at the site there. At the point by which we think we're ready to switch over from one site to the next, that's when we would manipulate either switching to a different branch as being the published branch, or like refactoring the site such that all of the old layer 5 stuff is shoved into a different folder, while the new layer 5, the next gen stuff, is pulled out of this folder and made maybe at the root. So I guess when we get there, we'll have a couple of choices probably.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. Any questions from anyone on that? That we were just kind of talking about the builds, the previews, the mechanics by which we'll switch over.
Hey, I don't have doubt about that, but I was looking into Strappy right now and I found something interesting. They also have a plugin for Jekyll too. But the problem is that plugin only supports, it does not support Jekyll 4, which we are currently using. So if if either we downgrade to Jekyll 3.8 or something, or they upload a new version, we could easily have a central point for our blog, and we can like filter out according to the tags we have for each blog to alab. Suppose you have a central database of Strappy where you put all your blogs. Then it also has tags about what it is about, Meshri, CLI, whatever it is about. Then accordingly, we can give access to different websites like meshri.io or the new website we are building. And according to that, they can fetch from the main Strappy backend itself if we are able to downgrade to Jekyll 3.8, or if they upgrade their plugin to 4.
Nice. And Dhruv, in your mind, would we connect up Strappy to Jekyll 3.8 or for purposes of migration, like using Jekyll as a data source as a temporary thing?
Yeah, exactly. Right now we are using Jekyll as a temporary thing for the products or individual projects we have, rather. So right now the blogs are a bit scattered. The one which are in Meshu.io won't show in layer 5, or re- you have to reproduce them once again in the layer 5 doc itself. So if we just migrate all of them to Strappy itself, then we can have different clients having access to different articles in itself. Or we can make them all public and let the website decide which article they want to show.
Defining.
Actually, there was a issue someone raised in 2019 in that Jekyll Strappy plugin that it was not supported for 4, but they didn't respond.
Right. Yeah, because 4 has been out for a little while. So let me regurgitate maybe what's part of the potential value for us here. Maybe two. So one being, as like right now, I think one of the things that Tanuj has taken a look at this last week is how it is that we can set up our current markdown files, like our current blog posts or project pages or whatever, our content, and use and set up Gatsby such that that content is, or Gatsby is treating those markdown files as a data source. I want to say that it's a file system plugin, I guess. But and Tanuj, we can, let's talk about that in a minute. Maybe you can take us through that. But this Strappy support of Jekyll could also be useful in that way, that um, one, for purposes of migration, that we could point Strappy to our Jekyll site as a data source, pull in the content, kind of have it displayed in the new site, which is, it's a good note to make, and it's interesting. Maybe what's even more intriguing is the thing that you'd said, Dhruv, which is, hey, between the docs from between the three Jekyll sites that we have, and potentially soon to be fourth from Shridi and Muskin, that through Strappy, we could have one set of markdown files leveraged as a data source across the multiple sites. And that's intriguing, and that can be really helpful. There's a few areas where it's been a little bit, it's not painful, it's just been a little bit annoying that that we have community members. Is an example. We have a set of information about community members defined in Markdown on the meshery.io site. And then we wanted to have some of those same members and their profiles on the Layer5 IO site. So we had to duplicate the Markdown. It's the same thing for meshery adapters. I think the adapter information is stored 3 times. So one is here on Layer5 IO that explains meshery. Another one is on meshery itself, or meshery IO here. Another one I think is on the docs.meshery IO. And it's not like it's the end of the world. It's just, it would be convenient if, and I
Everything
think
was updated once together.
Yeah, we'll get into, I mean, because at some point, like we may even want, if we get far enough along, it would be ideal if some of this was automated, like what version we're supporting of of a service mesh, really that should be defined inside the adapter repo for inside the repo for one of each individual adapter. We should be able to read from there and say, that's a little bit advanced, and we, if it's hard, we don't need to work on that. But point being is like that, we could benefit from. Now, Dhruv, if that's the case, only the sites that, how would that work for the different Jekyll sites that we have today? If we're trying to leverage one set of collection of Jekyll Markdown for adapters, for example, if those are in one repo, how does Strappy help us get that to the other sites?
Well, probably what we would need to do is we need to make one more admin account for each of the repos which will upload or change the data rather of that particular component. Let's say the component is adapters and which stores different type of adapters, and we link it with a tag which, if we want a tag, I don't know, to segregate them. Not in this case, but in case of blogs, I think. And then basically then our Jekyll site would fetch data from it if we have a webhook, then they will know whenever something has changed. And yeah, basically that's how it should work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's quite helpful. Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah. Um, there's a small bug on this table that I just took a snapshot of, and we'll create an. I'll create an. It's right here. This dot is extra. We can create a quick issue, and Ruth, some of the other contributors will, I suspect, jump all over it. We've been lucky with having a number of new contributors that want to take on those. As a matter of fact, they're being taken on pretty aggressively. Okay, good. So Dhruv, I guess since we've got you talking and kind of on the subject of Strappy, are there other things that you want to share around things you've learned about Strappy?
Um, I can share, but I can't share it properly right now. I was just messing around with stuff. I don't know exactly where each code line is to tell you guys how it works. But
Sure.
we can do it at last if
Sure.
everything is done with.
Yep. And you guys, and you, Tanuj, and Dhruv, and maybe Josh too. I'm not sure. You guys all have exams this week, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll try to finish the note here, but while I do, there are these other 4 topics. Shriti, do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So we are setting up SMPS website. The theme has been decided. We haven't actually gotten very much done with it at the current moment, so there's nothing to show. Yeah, that's it actually. We're working on it.
Nice. And that theme is, if people want to check it out.
I'll add the link to the meeting material. Yes.
All righty. Progress. Nice. I think on this site, there's a little bit of content there today, but perhaps not all that would be nice. And so I think I probably owe you guys some more words, more collateral. I'm sorry. Yeah,
We'll work on that.
I was just thinking about the conversation we were having where we were talking about collateral. So the provide additional content for the project. Nice. Okay. Do you guys know any specific next steps or any blockers or?
Not currently. It's just a basic site. We don't have much content to migrate at the moment.
Sure.
This should be pretty simple.
Okay. Okay. Multiple sites. Okay. Any other comments on the SMPS website? All right. The next item was Lee was supposed to get Ishida access to Google Analytics, and 1 minute before the meeting, we did. So Ishida, I don't know if you received an email about that yet.
Yep, I have. I've been going through it, and there's a few insights which might make sense. There's some user flows, like from the starting page, from the landing page, what pages do users visit the most, and I feel like that could help decipher some kind of information which we could leverage. So I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me to see the keywords that land people on the site. Some of which are, it's not that they're unintended, it's that some of them, I think literally we don't have one or two of those words, and maybe we should. But I think a lot of times people are organically, or when they are finding the site through search term, it seems like a lot of times it's in a comparison fashion, like they're like looking up two different service meshes, or it seems like the landscape is kind of some of the content that they're looking for.
Yep.
And that's probably because when they're searching for other things that we, the landscape is for that. But when they are searching for other things like service mesh interface or other keywords that we have, that we rank so low that they don't actually make it there. And so, yeah. But that's changing some. And so on last Friday's community call, Shriti, you gave an update about some of the new content on the existing Layer 5 site.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, do you want to, I don't know that everybody was on the call. Was everyone on? I think almost all of you were, but do you want to say it again? Give
It's
it
all
some.
right. I'll summarize. So basically, we have a lot of new blogs coming up on the Layer5 blogs. They are a mixture of experience posts, some posts about what Layer5 has been doing, some more features. There are a lot more to come. So if anybody is interested in either volunteering to get a post out there or looking to put some content on the Layer5 site, please do contact me. This is a great way to get Layer5 more well known. And you can have a look at the blogs we have up so far. I think we had 4 or 5 new blog posts this week itself. They are mostly experience posts right now, but they're well written and they are by some of the most experienced members of the community yet. So do have a look and get back to me if you have any ideas about any future blogs or posts.
There was a comment from Ruth recently that she was intending to write about her experience. And I don't know if that was, I think that she meant in context of the Layer 5 site. So.
I'll talk to her about it.
Nice. Okay. And then Shriti, last time we were in transition from, last time we didn't have these meeting minutes. And you had migrated, I think, a couple of assignments into issues, or assignments from the doc into issues.
I had.
Do you recall, were each of those assigned to someone? I don't recall.
Most of them haven't been assigned yet.
Let's take a quick look in the, now and see who's grabbing these. So do you want to, if I don't know if you have all of the context for what these were. If you do, that would be helpful. Maybe you could.
I do mostly. Okay. I did not have context for the contributing, the one you're on actually.
Okay. Actually, in some respects, Nikhil took on, I think, what this was intended to be, which is to say that today, when you come here, and the convention a lot of times is when someone wants to contribute. So sometimes, the README will talk about that, or maybe point people to contributing. And here, when this hyperlink takes you to this contributing markdown right here, and the convention is just that you would have a file of a certain name in the root directory. As a matter of fact, GitHub even reinforces that convention. If you go to insights on any repo, I think under community, they'll give you that repo or this community, if you will, a score, saying, oh, do they have a description? Do they have a README? Do they have a code of and when they're saying, oh, yes, they do, they're looking explicitly for a file of that name in the directory. As a matter of fact, with code of conduct, it needs to be like of that format, like underscore, underscore. So the point is right now, the contributing that we have is for how to work with, how to work with Jekyll. And what's nice, and so that's fine. What's nice about this one actually is that we say there was something that people were commonly doing, and that was updating the landscape, because we were pinging a lot of people, like, can you update the landscape, add information about your project? And so it was, specific instructions about certain areas. While we will look for people to continue to update the landscape and add news and do add lots of things, blogs and things. The instructions by which they build the site will be slightly different. Even the most of this will be the same. It would be kind of the same flow, fork the repo, make do these things. It'll probably still be a make site, but yeah. So that I think under the new folder, Nikhil had landed a PR not too long ago. I don't know if this is it or not, but he was updating the site build instructions. I think we can take that issue, assign it to Nikhil, and probably close it out, because that's what this was.
Great, I'll do that.
All right, then the next one, identify all React components. All right. So Tanuj, you and I had worked on that a bit. For my part, I feel like, or I know I put in all of the plugins that I knew of at the time, that would be helpful. But I also recognize that there's a number of, that I'm really new to Gatsby. So I'm not convinced that this is a totally complete list. How about for you?
At the moment, all these plugins seems to be enough. We are localizing the CSS using already the second plugin mentioned, in using currently the markdown. I have sent a PR for that. Uh, we need to decide if we are going to use Strappy now or later, and we need to add a plugin or not for that.
Okay. In that case, are each of the plugins here, these 4, have they been, like, through that PR that you've just submitted, are they all 4 of these added already?
Not the third and the fourth one.
Okay, cool. So these are here. Nice. Okay. All right. So on this issue, it sounds like Tanuj has been putting in an effort, and I did right. Tanuj, I had taken it. So just on that PR for the new components or the new plugins, it was marked, or it's marked with a draft. Are you ready? And so I didn't really review it. Are we good to review this and consider it now, or are you still working on it?
You can check out the preview link, and I need to just ask what are the things I need to remove from the current. Go to the blog part.
Oh, got it. You had created, I think, a new single page template.
I just pulled it out of the pages folder because it was going to be rendered by the Gatsby.node file.
Oh yeah, say that last part again, because it was going to be rendered with Gatsby what?
Gatsby node.js file. It is going to create a template of it is It's basically a template, and that file is going to render that template depending on the context of the contents of the markdown file.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah, let me go. Let's go take a look. This is a good. So I think what we were seeing in that preview is success with using the Gatsby source file system plugin to read markdown files, and then take and apply a template that you have included in here, and lay the merge the template and the content together.
Actually, one more thing, I used the MDX format because it was going to allow us to use the rows and columns already defined in the React. So you can write React basically inside this markdown file.
This is an example right here.
Yeah.
MDX, huh? Okay. I'm learning something new. MDX. And then is that sort of all that there is to know about that? Like, hey, because of that file extension, Gatsby will, try to interpret. It will look for curly braces and try to interpret what's in there as not Jekyll. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, it'll try to interpret that as Gatsby.
Every other things all will be interpreted as simple markdown, and everything written in JSX will be like normal React code.
Okay. Okay. I spoke of this slightly differently a moment ago. We were saying that the file system plugin is being incorporated in this PR, Gatsby source file system. And you're identifying the path and kind of where to pull in the pages, what template to apply. Yeah, which is great. It's possible right now, which is great. And you've copied over kind of the content of just an example post. It's possible to point that path to the existing blog directory, right?
I think so. No. The problem will be that Netlify will not recognize that folder because it is outside the layer 5 engine.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, long term, we wouldn't want to I mean, there wouldn't be any reason really for us to keep those blog posts outside of the site direct, folder structure. I guess the question there, and maybe it's evident from just looking at the markdown here, that that we're not really anticipating, now that you've removed all the custom inline styles from the blogs, like the migration process should be really easy, right?
There are some tables which are made that I think I have to write that in JSX in this context.
Okay. Oh, I see. So so we have some markdown tables, or we have some tables that are written in markdown, like, and do those?
Some are written in HTML. Some entire blogs are written in HTML using these div tags, etc. So my basically change everything to class name, I think.
I see. Okay. It's not an issue with HTML being interpreted as much as it's an issue with like the style of that HTML.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. And so I guess educate me a little bit more if you would. within this PR, you have like, you've created a single page, you've created a template here, I think. Wait. Okay, you've created a template here called blog single.js. And inside the source file system plugin, you're mapping what path you want to use as a data source for MDX files. And then you're mapping that data source to the blog post template, that this file here. And was the existing template not something, or was it not usable? Or it's not that we shouldn't have a bunch of templates or something, but I'm curious, like, did you needed to create a new template because?
No, I didn't create as much. Means that that template which I have used was inside the pages folder. So the Gatsby interprets that as a separate page automatically. So I need to take it out from the pages page because we didn't. It was also using GraphQL query to search the markdown file. So if that page already existed and somebody went there, it wouldn't able to find the markdown file through an error.
Okay. Oh. And this, no. And this is that new template, or that new file. Mostly, I think what you're saying is, hey, it's not so much that you created a new template as much as you moved it from one location to the next.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions on this? Is everybody else learning alongside here?
I don't have a question, but I can help migrate the blogs if you need me to.
Nice. Yeah, and that's Shriti, to your point, like that's something that can be done more or less nowish, because those posts really shouldn't be changing, much. Or like we can, it's not a time critical. It's not like you have to do it within the hour that we're migrating or something. Like the data is pretty static. So yeah. Nice.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll look into it and I'll get it done.
We also need to check the single block page, and there are some things I think the comment part, is it needed? We are going to use that, or should I remove that?
Got you. Okay. Yeah, let's go back. So here, oh yeah. So your point, Tanuj, is like, hey, there's the ability for users to comment on a blog post. Are we going to use that?
Yeah.
And my perspective, or I don't think so. I mean, well, let me. Does anyone have an opinion on that?
If I'm allowed to, this could be a good idea after we have some more posts up, not at the current moment.
Anybody else have commentary on comments?
Well,
I also
if
think
there are something like tutorials itself, Mukul, are you saying something?
no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, if there are some sort of tutorials or something, then I would like the ability to ask the questions which I have.
Right. Yeah. Maybe you've stumbled into an issue on trying to work through a lab. Mukul? Cool.
Yes, I was also thinking for the same. Comments in good.
Yeah.
people? Sometimes people can give feedback on in the comment section, or how the blog post goes, or something they want. What would be the next thing?
Got you. Got you. Okay. Yep. There's logic to you guys' reasoning. Okay. Good. And to news, anything else?
There are some tags we need filtering, etc., which can be done later. Yeah, to figure that out how to achieve that.
Those tags are like, you mean like predefined list of tags that people who are creating posts can choose from?
I think so. I don't know why they are there, but what was the point of that? I have to check it out.
Okay. And I think we missed, is Shavai still on? We want to talk to him about mega menus. Okay. Maybe Ishida, we got to chat about Google Analytics for a moment, but any other updates or any other topics from you?
If you want to learn a few things about StrapEF, no one knows, I guess.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, Ishida, last chance. Nice. I totally do. Yeah, Drew, I'm going to stop sharing, assuming that you might want to walk
Yeah.
us through.
So where are we? Yeah, so basically, let's start over here. We have certain what can you say, users which will have access to our data and can change our data. We can define which users, which one we want, and which access do they have. Like for publicly, we can decide if our articles are free to find, free to count, free to create, or free to delete, or something like that. All of these things works based on API itself. If for public right now, articles and categories are free, but if you want, like, if blog can only be uploaded by certain users, in users I mean a particular website or some client itself, then we need to make a authorized account for them itself if you want, and we can define what they can do. Means we have a flexibility over here. And in content type builder, we can basically define what kind of collection types do we want to have. Suppose I want an article which has a title, content, image, and it is also linked to one more content type like category itself, which can be like tags of which type of article it is. They can be joined together, and then if we search for category, we can all together search for which articles are under those categories if we link them together. It's pretty simple actually. They also have a way in which we can define how they are interconnected together, one to many, many to one, many to many, stuff like that.
Nice.
And
Real quick, sorry to interrupt, but what if you go back to that visual relationship manager, the advanced settings, what's under in the upper right hand?
Yeah, advanced settings. It basically, if you want, in this particular case, if you want a unique field or not, means uh, every relation is unique. No, wait a second. This I don't know, to be honest. This one is for each of unique tags. I need to see what this is about. Yeah.
Column name and category. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, they have different advanced setting for different type of context we want. So this is how we define a particular content type which we want, and then we can define a particular objects of that content type. If I want an article, suppose I can add a new article or change articles which are already there and stuff like that. This is the basic thing which I guess a person publishing an article would be more familiar with this instead of writing a markdown language. And from what I remember, the content is also based on markdown. Yeah, it uses markdown to define stuff. Uh, yeah, so but I don't know if the one Tanuj said, which is what was it, MDX, MXT? I don't remember. Is this
MDX.
and that the same thing?
No, this is pure Markdown. That is Markdown plus React.
Okay, cool.
Curious. Well, so one of the nice things about this visual, so it's kind of funny that the collection of individuals who are on the call are all capable. Clearly, you are all capable of writing like a blog post in Markdown, right? So,
Yep.
so you might say, well, so why do we need the Strappy UI? Since and I mean, I think you can probably answer that with a couple of things. One, there might be others who come through who aren't as comfortable, so this might be better. But then there's a bunch of other reasons why it makes sense to use Strappy, and that's because just even as you're writing down Markdown and trying to make sure your image sits properly and things, that the ability to preview it real quick, that's nice without having to. The ability or the notion that one post looks really similar to another post, looks really similar to another, that we're all using consistent styles and that we're not, and I'm really guilty of this, is like, making up some new style for a given post or to make sure that the image fits in a certain way. And that inconsistency is maybe not the best. So when we use Strappy, that will help with consistency. Like one example of this is the notion that in a few different places I've included YouTube videos, and there's a bunch of ways to embed a video into a site. Which leads me to my question, like, do you know what support this has for embedding like a YouTube video?
No, I don't. We can add a link, but now I guess what we can do over here is we can go to content type builder itself and we can add one more option itself if we want someone to add one or two videos itself.
Right.
Something like a small text, and we can convert it itself to a link or something like video, and then we can hard code it to the Gatsby side itself, that if this particular uh, type is available, then make a video, attach it.
Yeah. When you're done, I'll show you guys something that, or I guess I'll just say that, one of the ways in which we can expose a YouTube video on the current site is to just have when you have a hyperlink that includes youtube.com and or like YouTube in the hyperlink URL, we're using a Lightbox JavaScript library that will read through all the elements on the page, see if there's a hyperlink that points to YouTube. And if it does, it will create this nice little lightbox effect. I'll send you guys an example so you can see it. But that was something that we haven't been using. Oh, thank you, Ishita. Oh, she had to drop. That was something that we weren't using in a consistent way. And so hopefully through use of Strappy will be consistent with these mechanics.
Yeah, we can add instruction to this if someone is unknown to the fact that if they add a markdown over here, they can, it will bring up a YouTube pop-up or something like that. There are means to change that too.
Dhruv, couple questions for you for next week or kind of as you're continuing here, and that is, I guess I'd be curious to know. Oh, that's great. The bulk actions, huh? I'd be curious to know what what's all possible when you create a new field type, and there's like a, I think it said the dynamic zone or the custom something. As you get further into this, like the component and the dynamic zone, those two look intriguing. That media field type, it says videos in it as well. And so I wonder.
Yeah, but it will store videos itself in the backend. So if we want to do that, surely we can do that. But...
Right. Okay. But okay, yeah, just sort of what's all possible with that dynamic zone. Like what is that? How does it?
I have not yet seen what dynamic zone is.
Sure. Yeah. So for
just
cool.
messing around basically.
Yeah, no. Or actually, I meant to preface that with like, hey, as you get in further, like next week or whenever, I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, sure.
What else? Huh. That's cool. So you can define maybe even your own, add a new component, your own emote, your own icons, your own. Huh. Okay, this is good. There's probably I suspect we're just kind of scratching the surface, especially as you consider, like, as you look through some of the plugins and kind of the marketplace. There's probably a whole nother world over there.
There are not lots of plugins over there, to be honest.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
All of them are already pre-installed, and yeah, they are good plugins, but yeah, basic plugins which you need.
The email plugin, do you know, I mean, that this should work for us considering that we're running a Strappy server. It's something I'd be curious to know more about how that works.
Okay, yeah.
And nice.
Yeah,
and
they do give ability to send emails, I guess. Mass emails from what I had read. I don't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll see it again.
Nice. Nice. This is good. This just really helps me. Shivai, while we've got you, and as we hit like the top of the time, I think we lost him. But so Shivai, if you see this recording, we're looking for the mega menu in case you have one. Okay. Anything else that we missed today? As we look toward next week, so recognizing Dhruv and Josh and Tanuj and anyone else, and Mukul, anyone else who has got exams, like, yeah, exams come first. Some things, some questions to maybe look into when you need a break from the exam is.
No, I have my exams got over. My exams got over.
Oh, you're good. Okay, good. All right.
Okay. I'm not.
You sounded slightly less stressed in your voice. It sounded.
I think it can be a network issue. I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. And my sarcasm. It's also an issue where my sarcasm doesn't make it through the network either. No, but you, good. School's off for you. So now that summer's over, you can start to enjoy it. Dhruv and Tanuj. Hey, here's an item that's probably understood enough. Tanuj, what you did with the blog posts and stuff, that's fantastic. That's awesome. There's something that jumps out to me as being kind of an easier component to maybe tackle is the footer, I guess. Like, I mean, not that we need to prioritize that or anything, but anyway, the footer seems like something to take a look at. And then I don't know, I guess Tanuj, the question starts to become like, we are going to have a number of collections. And to Drew's point, we, you know, in Strapi, we'll probably create new data models or new collections, one for blog, one for a project, one for a program, like things that map pretty consistently to what we have in the current site. And I guess my question is, or the thinking there is that I assume we'll probably want similar components for kind of like what we have for a blog. We're going to want something fairly similar for projects, programs. Kind of like so here's projects.
Do you want at the end to be every content to be there on Strapi and edited over there and then updated everywhere else? Am I getting that hint?
I'm ignorant as to all, like my intuition is that if we're going to use Strapi, then then you want to push and drive sort of much of what we do to go through there. I think that it would be naive to assume that everything would be through there, in part because some things might be updated automatically, or because we're going to be inviting people to update the landscape. And when they do, we want for them to update their data, you know, about their projects. And we're not going to hand them a Strapi login, not because we would be opposed to that, because we can lock down their permissions to do what they need to do, but because it just wouldn't be the norm. We would, you know, they would be expecting to update that in GitHub. So
I guess what we can do is we can start with a minor dependency on Strapi, like in a website, something like a small thing, let's say
blog posts or something.
Blog post or something. And if it goes well, then we can replicate it to other sites itself, even Jekyll if you want.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Shivai.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, Shivai.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of really bad internet. That is why I've been reconnecting and again. Sorry.
We've been, so you came back just in time to ask you whether...
Yeah, I was there earlier also, but my internet, I've had restarted during the meeting itself at least 3-4 times.
Did it? Okay. I saw you. I thought yeah. So last time we talked, it sounded like you had some success kind of identifying what you thought would be a decent mega menu to source from. And then any other progress or yeah.
Yes, so I've implemented that in the latest build that was done a few days back. Just give me 1 minute. Just a minute. Yeah, 5 minutes. So the one that was done a few days back by Mukul, I had also integrated that in that. So probably right now I'm on my mobile internet because I've come from my mobile. So once once I connect back to my internet, I'll create a pull request if that's fine. Or
nice, yeah. Nice. And did you yeah, good. Yeah, I'm eager to see what it looks like.
So I edited the navigation .js. So basically what they had done in this Layer5 ng1 was they had created like a data.json file that has all the elements of the navigation. So I changed that to have not just so like like we have on Strappy, on the left hand side we have all our like page like item list, and on the right hand side we have the images. So I sort of integrated that we can have like a link, like two big URLs, because for each and every mega menu we can, let's say there are blogs, we can have two featured blogs on the left hand side and some relevant links of the blog on the right hand side. Similarly, for let's say for our programs, we can have like the two main programs and list of all the programs. So it's sort of similar, the component is similar to how we have it for this Strappy site.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I get what you mean. You got a whole collection, but maybe two of them you're highlighting and showing like a
Yeah,
small.
so it's completely modular, because since they have provided a JSON like format, so we can directly um, add whatever we would want to that collection.
Huh. Cool. Okay. Okay. Cool. Nice. Well, thanks, Shivai. Thanks, guys. Any? I guess we're at time. Anybody have other updates?
Hey Lee, is there anything like I can do, as I had gone through Gatsby and GraphQL, and like I have sufficient knowledge, so I think I can move on to some minor thing or.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, Josh. Thanks for asking. Uh, semi-randomly, one thing that jumps out to me um, as moderately straightforward is the footer, that component on the new site that boy, I just even glanced at it, but like it's probably fine. Like the styling of it is probably about right. Like I don't, we'll see eventually, but right now, the links that they have, we need to displace those with our own, our own links. And so if you look between the current Layer 5 IO footer and the content that it has, and yeah, if you were to try to update the existing Gatsby component for the footer, that seems like a good. If I were you, I would suggest. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I guess I was going to say to like make a backup or take a copy of the existing footer component, because because if you're like me, you might screw it up and then have to revert. But that seems like or what do you think about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's good. Cool. It's coming together. I can't wait for you guys to be done with your exams. Yeah, you too, huh? Nice.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for this, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye all.
Okay, bye.
Bye.